Today we're going to make kombucha with a SCOBY that somebody's gifted you, and you're looking at it going, what do I do with this? Well, what you do is you make a delicious, fizzy, great for your gut drink. And you can flavor it any way you like. My particular favorite happens to be blueberry right now, but I've done plum, pomegranate, pineapple, anything, and combinations. Add some herbs in it, that sort of thing. So it's really an awesome beverage, health-wise and also delicious. I don't drink pop, so this to me is my little fizz drink when I'm having popcorn or something like that. So somebody has gifted you a SCOBY. And a SCOBY is actually an acronym for symbiotic community or culture of bacteria and yeast. And what that basically means is that is the hotel where all that yeast and bacteria live, and we're going to add a sugared tea, which will feed it and create the fermentation process. So what I've done is I've boiled a couple cups of water, 2 cups, put 2 tea bags, and I'm using black tea. You can use different types of tea, but I prefer black, but white, green, it doesn't matter. I then, once this temperature has cooled enough and I've got the color that I want, it's been steeped enough, I add another 2 cups of water. And what this is going to do, that will be just under a liter, and this is a 1 liter jar. So in there with the tea, I have brewed it with a third of a cup of sugar. So that's 2 tea bags, 2 cups of water, and a third of a cup of sugar. When it's cooled and it's sufficiently brewed, I then add 2 more cups of water. When I get to this stage, it really is, this is the first ferment. There's nothing much more to it other than to pour it into the jar. And I take it right near the top because I'm going to want a full 1 liter jar when I go to make my next batch. So as you can see here, the SCOBY's at the bottom. It may float up, that's not an issue. Things will happen in the next few days. I then cover it with a tight weave top. I want airflow, but I don't want anything like fruit flies and stuff, which is something that, at this time of year we're getting a lot more of. I put an elastic on and I write the date, or the day of the week rather, and today happens to be, say, Wednesday. So on Wednesday at 4 in the afternoon, I go then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday at 4 in the afternoon is when I'll do the second brew. So I will put this away in my cupboard and let it sit there until Sunday at about 4 o'clock. I then go through the same process. I'm going to make my tea. I'm going to put 2 tea bags, a third of a cup of sugar, 2 cups of hot water. Once it's steeped sufficiently and the sugar's dissolved, I then add 2 more cups of water, and then I'm ready to move it on to the second ferment. So what I do, we're going to pretend it's now Sunday. I then get my bottle my empty bottle, and I'm going to put my next brew in. And what I do is I add a tablespoon of sugar, which is very minimal in the second ferment, because actually I'm going to be adding, this is where I add my fruit. And with the fruit, there's sugar in that, and that will create the fermentation, or assist in the fermentation as well. So I've got a tablespoon of sugar. I have about 30 blueberries. Now some of these were really big, so I cut them and consider a half really 1, or even a quarter in some cases. And what I do is I just place them straight in the jar. What I love is when this ferment is done, you can see one here that was done earlier this week, the color, and then I get the fruit when I actually drink it. It's kind of nice. It's a little treat in the glass. So I do that. I then will take this liquid. It is, remember now, fermented for 4 days, and that's the first ferment. I'm now going to add it to this sugar. I'm going to leave about 1 inch in the bottom again, because I need to do that for the next brew. I'm going to stir this, dissolve, and I'm going to put it into the bottle. And this is a bottle that's going to have a tight seal, and this is where the carbonation develops, and it's however long you want to leave it for the carbonation that you like. And also, the longer you leave it, the more sugar is eaten, and the more sugar that's eaten, you may like that flavor more. At first, when I first started doing this, I was trying to be really conscious of the amount of sugar, but it really affected the ferment. This is really a good formula. And so what I'll do then, it's now Sunday, so I would write Sunday on here, and then I would put it into the cupboard for another 4 days. And once it's hit that 4 days, I'm going to put it into the fridge. It will continue to ferment there slightly, but it will be a lot slower. And when you go to open this, make sure you're very careful when you're opening, because it can really have built up and you don't want an explosion. I usually take it over to the sink, I put a dish towel on top, and I actually sort of burp it and let it release just slightly, because the worst thing is you've done all this work, put in all the effort and the money, and then all of a sudden you lose it all in the carbonation fizzing over and you've got nothing left to drink but a flat, you know, sort of blueberry juice. So that's a tip there. And you also never want to shake it and stuff. So again, first ferment for me in my house, my conditions, my temperature is 4 days. Second ferment, same thing. So just something to go on. This is my current brew. I just wanted to show, I do a double batch in this, and I wanted to show you what the SCOBY actually looks like. This is an old SCOBY that I actually got when I went to culinary school. And she keeps having babies, and then I take those babies, store them in a jar, and I give them away to people at different points, because it's nice to be able to share, you know, this. Some people will sell them on Facebook and stuff like that, but you know, if you can get a friend to give you one, that's ideal. And then you can just start and experiment away with flavors that you like. So this particular one is in its first brew, this is in its second brew, and in a couple of days I will put this into the fridge, and then I will move this on to bottling. So it's as simple as that. I'm going to put the instructions, the written instructions as well, to go along with this video, but hopefully if somebody gives you a SCOBY, you're not intimidated, that you'll at least give it a try. There are different types of bottles that you can use. This is a Prosecco bottle, so if you know somebody who loves Prosecco, get them to keep a few. Otherwise you can purchase some. This one is a fairly expensive one, but you can tell it's got a way better seal on it, much like the Prosecco, and you can get them at a lot of health food stores. I got these at IKEA, not thrilled with it. It does not hold. It doesn't always seal well for me. So I would recommend either spending a bit of money, or ideally, if you can get somebody who drinks Prosecco to give you a couple bottles, that's ideal. So happy fermenting. I hope you give it a try. You know, go on, like I said, Facebook, and see if somebody's selling or giving away, or hopefully you have a friend that's just willing to share.